Hi, welcome to today's edition. I'm super excited. I have Julia Stevens with me. So, Julia, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, thank you, Annette. So I'm Julia Stevens. I'm a registered dietitian, and I own a local private practice that is actually 100% virtual. So I am all online.
Was this before COVID that you started this, or was it after
I
COVID?
actually started it about a year or two before COVID. So yeah.
No premonition that everything would change for us.
No, but nutrition and virtual is like the perfect pairing because I can literally zoom into your kitchen. So it works really
Oh,
well.
no, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't want you to zoom into my kitchen right now. You'll see possibly some things you would say, Annette, if you have some goals, you may want to change your selection process. So, but no, I totally can see that. And I think that looking at where we've come from and seeing like this pivoting point in our industries and in capitalizing on that, right? You realized you said it was the perfect pairing. I love that. So tell us a little bit, because there's a lot of hype right now going on about the GLP-1, is it?
Yes. So the GLP-1 medications are not new to the market, actually. They've been around for about a decade now, mostly for diabetics. As we all know with the news and media over the last year or so, they've really been more focused on just general weight management. And so my practice is now including those patients that are taking the GLP-1s and helping them manage the medication, the side effects, and get the most out of their time with it. And then also create what I like to call your exit plan. Because not everybody wants to be on the medications long term. And some people have insurance changes and then they're not able to afford the medication anymore. And so you want to set yourself up for what happens if or when you stop the medications.
I love that when you say is create a strategy, right? Because you just don't know what's going to happen in life. And if you are going to go on this, and I've done a little bit of research as soon as I knew, that you were coming on, I was super excited. So of course I did some deep dive, which can be a little dangerous because I know nothing about this, of course. But now I know enough to ask questions and wonder, am I asking the right questions? But the biggest thing that I found in a lot of the news articles, the medical, digest journaling, is that the question remains is that if you're not diabetic and you're using it for weight loss, and obviously I think that the hype came because a lot of, famous people, celebrities started using it and getting great results, right? And they're like, oh, we want to look like that.
Right.
Is that it's really more of a helper, like an aid to help people, kind of get over that hump that people may struggle with losing weight. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So I describe the medications as just another tool in your toolbox, right? They help you with the portion control and the calorie management side. Weight loss only happens in a calorie deficit. So it doesn't matter how you accomplish that, whether that's keto, intermittent fasting, using the GLP-1s. Weight loss will only happen if you're in a deficit. And so it's just another strategy or tool to help you do that. Now, there are different ways to lose weight and create that calorie deficit that are healthier than others, right?
Right.
And so I help my clients and patients manage that and figure out, well, what would work best for you? How much protein or whatever it is that you need in order to not only lose the weight, but be the healthiest that you can be.
I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Like I got my brain just going off right now. If I was in that situation, like, how do I know that I'm eating enough? Because one of the side effects of using this drug is that it minimizes the ability to crave food, correct?
Yes. So it will decrease what we call the food noise. So a lot of people, we all make hundreds of decisions around food every day. So research shows about 200 decisions every day we're making about food, whether that's conscious or unconscious. And some people live in a much more conscious awareness of those food choices. And so they feel like they're constantly trying to decide, what should I eat next? Or gosh, am I hungry? It's just a constant struggle. And so the GLP-1s really seem to work in the brain to help minimize that food noise so that they can think about work or focus on other things other than when is the next meal or snack. And then it also works in the gut to help slow digestion. So it helps you feel fuller for a longer period of time and then makes you think less about food. And those things together result in a lower calorie intake, which is going to end up in weight loss.
Well, and we're finding too, the marketing around food. I've never seen it to the level that it is.
Yeah.
Like, the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, the Taco Bell, Wendy's, all of them, the commercials, and they always are like on late at night, which I never realized until most recently. And the pictures, that food looks amazing. Like, especially, I wasn't even hungry and I was getting like drooling, right? And I know that may be too much vulnerability on the podcast, but I'm going to go with it. And so I can see where that possibly is going to help. But I think the biggest challenge that I see with food is that the mindset, right? I am an author of a mindset book about talking about challenges that people go through, and you can get through anything as long as you have the correct mindset, right? Well, mindset, our brains are wired a certain way, and I'm sure you probably talk a little bit about this because if we look at food as being a medicine, right, instead of the enjoyment aspect of it, that's a mindset shift.
Right.
Do you talk about mindset shift in regards to, when people are needing to lose weight for health reasons?
Absolutely. So most of our behavior change, right, is what we're thinking. It's in our brain. It's that mindset, like you said. And so we focus a lot on the education, right? What you should be eating, how much. Most of us have an idea of what's healthy and what's not healthy. But it's the behavior piece that's the hard part, right? It's the follow
I give up, Julie. I definitely am probably a good client for you.
It's that mindset and how we think about food and how we're using food. And that doesn't mean that food can't be enjoyed, right? We have to find that balance. That we can't enjoy our favorite foods, but it's learning how to do that in moderation and picking the foods that really mean the most to us and letting the rest go.
Oh, love that tip. You just said it. Picking the foods that mean the most to us, right? And then portion control around those. So it's the taste, and then I'm assuming probably slow down, right?
Yeah.
My personality, I don't know that speed. Like, I have like 0 to high, right? High speed. So the word slow for me is almost awkward. Yeah. And I have found people say, and of course, I'm conscious when I'm out to lunch with a friend or whatever, that I finish first. I mean, that's just reality. So if I know that going in, what's a great tip for me?
Okay. So don't worry about how fast you eat.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. What I usually say is wait. Give yourself that 15 to 20 minutes for your brain to catch up with your stomach until you decide if you're still hungry or not. Do I want more? Okay. Because a lot of times slowing down is such an unnatural feeling, right?
Oh, it would be awkward for me.
It's so awkward because we've been conditioned probably our whole life since childhood to eat quickly, right? We got to go. We got to go.
I got to get outside and get on my bike.
Right. Whatever it is.
Whatever it was.
We want to get on to the next thing. And so that's the harder habit to change. So we're going to start with the easier one, which is just giving yourself that 15 to 20 minutes to let your brain catch up before you decide if you need seconds. Right? Wow. So that's the first step. And then once we've gotten that under control and you're like, okay, like now I'm sitting here and waiting and having, chatting with whoever I'm with or whatever that might be. Now I can go back a step and say, okay, well, now how do I slow down the actual meal and the pace of my meal? And so step number 2 is to take what I call the halftime break. So you're going to eat half of your meal and then you're going to put your fork down. You're going to sit back and relax for a second. So those are the two.
Love it.
Those are the first 2 steps that I would take if you were trying to just slow down and be more mindful.
So I want to get to know you a little bit more. Yeah. So what's your big why? Why do you do this?
So I love preventive health. That's always been my big passion. When I was in 5th grade, I asked for the Jane Fonda step aerobic for my birthday.
Oh, that is an awesome story.
And I still have it in my basement. And every once in a while I will break it out. I don't break out like the wristbands and the neon Leos or anything, but I still have the step. And so it's just always been something that I've enjoyed. I love exercise. My bachelor's was actually exercise physiology. I wanted to be a physical therapist. But as you volunteered to apply for school, I was seeing that everybody they were working with was sick. And I wanted to work with people before they hit that point because there was so much that we could teach and so much that we could change to prevent a lot of these diseases that we were seeing, a lot of volunteering in cardiac rehab and things like that. And, I just feel like education, but also from an evidence-based standpoint, and the behavior change standpoint. And so that's kind of how I got into it. And then I decided nutrition is the other half of this puzzle, right? And so I had the exercise background, but now I need to go back and become a dietitian. So
love that. So if you were going to ask tell yourself something, from where you are today into your past self, what would that be?
I would have jumped into private practice faster.
Okay.
I really would have, because there's so much rules and structure in typical medicine, right? And most people just need access. They just need to be able to talk to you about what they want and how do I change it, and just kind of get rid of some of the red tape. I think going into private practice sooner is my biggest, I should have done this like 20 years ago.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because that applies in any industry, right? And so when you're looking at these types of opportunities, I think that knowing and understanding that it applies. We want to know first that we care, right? And then after that, you can figure out the rest. And if you become the biggest advocate that you can, of course, for your health, you're that much faster.
Yeah.
So we're going to share all your contact information, because people buy people before they ever buy a product or service. And the fact that you spent time with us today, I'm super excited to get to know you more. And there's going to be people out there that are going to want to connect with you. So we're going to share that. And once again, thank you for coming on the show. Love to have you. Hopefully we can have you back. We'll talk a little bit more in depth, because I know there's a lot going on with this new drug. And of course, behavior changes, taking I'm assuming one step at a time.
Absolutely. Baby steps.
Baby
right?
steps. Until next week, thanks for joining in today. See ya.